Where do they get that 1% coming out of the Trevally Dam?
Well, it's a good question. They look at the long-term average yield for the catchment. See, these are all con figures. If you sort of look at the numbers, it appears like a small number, but the trouble with all of our rivers is they're seasonal. And you've got to ask the question of how much does the river actually have flowing in it at the height of summer? If you're going to take the water daily, you've got to ask that question. You also have to ask, what's the river going to have in it in a drought year? You've got to ask, not what it's had in it in one of those bumper years. You've got to ask, have you got enough water in the worst year on record to do this? So that you play it safe. If you don't play it safe, you're going to get caught out. But on top of all of that, the way they make up the water so it actually ran down the gorge last year, which is pathetic too. I don't mean the gorge, I mean the actual flow that was allowed to go down. Was simply because they had to say to the irrigators at Longford, you can't have any water. And they also ran Powhatina to put some water back into the system so it actually was possible. It's that sort of compound loop. You can't take it out in pieces, and 1% of the annual figure is irrelevant. It's what percentage is it of that dry day in February?
Can I just offer something there? When you say all of that water being taken up there, and then there's irrigators, for instance, who have to pay for their water, as the municipal suppliers also have to pay for the water. So there's a market mechanism lower down, but in the higher end of the catchment, there is no market mechanism. And this is quite an important factor in the, if you like, the hidden subsidies that, besides the risk that we don't get any water at all, we're the ones that suffer the shortages. So I think this is also an area possibly that politically we can perhaps push towards that full accounting for water, the impact on water supply.
I agree with all of that. I've been arguing with that for years to try and get the full accounting. I'll just point out to you here, South Australia has actually moved in this direction.
What direction is that?
I'll explain. It's the industry actually says they don't use any more water than they would if it was a normal forest. That you can have various letter words for that. Some 4-lettered, some 5-lettered. Bilge is one I'd go with, but it's just nonsense. When you turn the land over like this, you increase the water demand. The question is how much you increase it, and that's a different number for each catchment. Each catchment is yes, it is, and it must be seen seasonally. But all of this can be done. I mean, I'm carrying around in my back here a list of numbers. I know what the numbers are for this catchment. But in South Australia, in an area with the rainfall of this place, Blessington, they allocate to the plantations the water in the numbers for the catchment at 1.8 megalitres a hectare per year. I think it's a little conservative, but so you should play it slightly conservative. The thing is, everybody went up in arms over that. The very fact that somebody put a number on it required them to be actually rated like an irrigator. If there's money involved, there might be money involved. Horror upon horrors. If it's not a viable concern when you start just either adding in the numbers to find you've actually got enough, because that's the first thing about the numbers. If you've got umpteen hectares of plantation here, multiplied by 1.8 hectares per year on average, how much water's involved? How much water's in the catchment free? How much is being committed elsewhere? Add the number up. If it goes over the wire of the average that's coming in, you've got a problem on your hands. And nearly all of our catchments have got a problem on their hands because those numbers are not being included. And they're not being included because the Tasmanian legislation, both water and forest, does not require it. And it will not be included until that changes. The first thing is to actually count it. Whether you cost it is a second question, but it must be counted first.